Hey, what's up, YouTube, and welcome to Play It Painted Live. Just getting set up here. Kind of a slow start for me. Trying to get myself geared up here for tonight's painting. So I hope you can bear with me for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and finish my setup here. And we're going to go to YouTube and just see if we have any comments or anything like that. Go ahead and go to my channel. So yeah, sorry about the late start up here. Was doing a few things to get ready for this show, and well, you guys know how it goes. Oops, don't want to do that. Yeah, let's go to events. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to mute myself. There we go. Good. Okay. So once again, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Still trying to adjust my camera and all that other stuff. So I should get that underway shortly. I guess I'll, which is I hate to. I'm just going to get us set up here. Okay, lots of weird questions going on Facebook, but we'll get people on here in a minute. We're just getting set up. I gotta make sure my camera is actually where I want it to be, and then we'll go over what I'll be painting tonight. So there we go. You guys don't look at the kind of psychedelic rings on my my painting table here. At some point, I will go ahead and change this out so that it'll be nice and clean. But, you know, it's one of those expenses that if it's not absolutely critical to do, sometimes we just don't do it. Some of the other issues I've got here is like with my palette. But, you know, hey, some people have to be on air here soon. Let me just take care of that in a minute. Get my palette set up. So tonight I'll be painting, I'm going to paint a couple of models, at least one. But let's see if I can get two done. And these are, again, we're painting some Arena Rex here. First up is a 30 mil model named Jason or Iason. But yeah, it's Jason basically. And you can see I've started, I just did some airbrush base coats on the non-metallic metals. Got kind of a brass goldy thing going here. I'll work on that some more. And the other model is just this is Micon. And you can see I'm going to work on some of his metals as well here. So probably in for another quiet evening. It's been very quiet on this show. I do appreciate the folks that have been watching, but yeah, it's been a pretty quiet show. I don't know if it's because we're in the off season or if it, you know, maybe it's because we're on a weird night now or whatever. But anyway, that's what's going on. I guess we're going to just get right into it because, Corey, we're starting the show now. So, the show's on right now, and just trying to get stuff started. So, guys, just bear with. Just going to do a little painting here. I'm going to just start sending out invites. But you guys better fucking talk if you're going to hop on the show. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and send out invites right now. Yeah, so anyway, let me go ahead and do that. That was a joke. Relax. All right. And here we go. No, those. There's one. There's two. Okay, that should be it. And I'm gonna paint. That's what I'm gonna do. It's kind of the point of the show. I want to keep painting and have. And one of the things I would have to say, there's been a lot of talk recently about painting in and around what I've been doing, and what I'd like to add to that conversation is just enjoy painting, have fun painting. Don't kill yourself trying to make sure every fucking thing is right. You've got the right combination of technique or whatever. Just paint the shit and make sure it looks good. And I'm like kind of in a cussy mood tonight, so we're just gonna roll with my foul language again.
We're just gonna go ahead and rate this episode R.
No, all my episodes are R basically, but I'm just probably going to be a little bit more profanity tonight, just because, no particular reason. What's up, Jill?
Not much. What's up with you?
Painting, many things, lots of stuff going on.
I'm painting Kisa.
Cool.
I'm trying out a whole bunch of new, or the SD Kisa. And I'm trying out a whole bunch of new techniques on her, I've decided, so pretty happy with how it's going so far.
Cool. Okay. Alright, so one of the things I need to do here is I'm going to just add a little bit more depth to some of the non-metallic on Mr. Micon. I'm just going to do a very, very light wash here. I'm going to be using Army Painter Dark Tone, and I'm just going to thin it down a bit. Okay, so, Corey, that's fine. It's up to you, man. If you want to hop on, if not, you can just watch. Entirely up to you. We are just gonna work on the painting part. So you're painting Kisa. I'm painting Arena Rex. This stuff has been freaking awesome to paint. Really enjoying painting all this Arena Rex. Pretty much every minute of it. And you know what? I'm gonna change my brushes tonight because I picked up some stuff and I want to try it out. Be right back. There we go. Cool. Okay. So, went to the hobby store last night, and I saw that we picked up a few more Reaper sable brushes.
Okay.
And I had an old Reaper 40 sable, 40, very small brush. It was an okay brush, and I normally use Winsor Newton Series 7, but with the Series 7 getting harder and harder to find, and me wanting more of a kind of a workhorse brush that I can beat up a little bit, these Army Painter ones are pretty nice too. But I wanted to try out Reaper, give them another shot, I should say, in a larger brush. So let's just break this bad boy out.
I've never tried the Reaper brushes.
A size 1 brush. So this is going to be a pretty general brush for me. About the same, maybe a little bit smaller than the Army Painter brush here. So let's break this out. I'm going to respond to Corey's. Yeah. There you go, Corey. Okay.
Hey, Mark, we can see your video, but can't see you. And can't hear you either.
All right. And so Mark hopped on. Sorry, I'm not looking up at the moment. I'm just.
Yeah, it looks like it, but I can't hear him at all.
Can you hear
Let's
me
do
now?
my little wash here.
Yeah, just barely.
Okay.
Better?
So I was kind of torn as to whether or not I was going to do non-metallics metals on this series, or if I was just going to do metallics, because Phil has done them in metallics, and his stuff looks awesome, and I was half tempted to go that way, but then I was like, no, I really like the art for Arena Rex, and the art is highly stylized. So I thought it would be better for non-metallics. The stylization of the art. So I'm really, really enjoying this. And Mycon is just such a fun miniature. He is.
And I really enjoyed seeing your
I
pictures
want to
of
show you.
your stuff.
Am I in frame? Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're
am.
in frame. You're just super blurry.
All right. I may have to bring the camera down and closer, which is I'm okay with. Let's do that actually. Let's go a little bit closer.
You got a new cutting pad.
No, this is the one that I use when I'm shooting video, so that you don't see all that craziness underneath. So it's easier to tell what's going on here.
Gotcha.
All right. Mark's still having audio issues. Sounds like it, because I don't hear him.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
There you
you, but you're very distant sounding.
Okay, so there's that. I do a little bit of the wash here on.
Ah! I just stabbed myself in the eye with a paintbrush.
Testing, testing.
Nice.
I did.
How
Better?
do you do that? Why do you stab your? How is the paintbrush close to your eye?
Talent.
Skills. I got to mad skills.
Okay.
So you
I
guys
don't
hear me
know.
now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What are you working on, Mark?
My sanity? Trying to
Sounds
figure out where
good.
the heck my small pins are. I had it.
Thank you for that contribution to the show, Candace. Once again, welcome to Play It Painted Live. If you guys are painting, let us know in the comments what you're painting. And if you're not painting, let us know what you should be painting or you're thinking about painting. Because it's interesting. Because then we can talk about the game it's associated with. Or we can call you a lazy ass. One of those things will happen if you post in the comment.
Wait, there's a game for this? Damn it.
What's that?
There's a game for this?
There's a game for this, usually. So while we're talking Arena Rex here, I wanted to show, and I've shown some of these pictures on the Facebook, as us old people call it. And here's some of the completed Arena Rex models. So this is, man, I forgot her name. It's Zara, I think. And so I was debating, like the last time I painted Sven on this show, I did a really light, really subtle marble pattern. And it just didn't show up on camera at all. And frankly, I just was not happy with that. It was a very simple technique. So what I did was I went back and I upgraded the marble look a little bit, gave it a little bit more modeling, a little bit more veins to it, used a few more colors, and I matched them to their faction dice. So that's Sven. This is Frigga, also from the Zephyri faction. Very fun. Zephyri are kind of they're kind of a combination of Native American or like Inuit tribes and Norse. So like, you know, your Viking type characters as well as Native American characters. So very fun. if I can find a Ludus Magnus miniature. So here's the Atrix. And you can see kind of like a reddish purple. You can see I have an gloss to
Oh, it's
give it a little, you know. And they might look like they're fighting in a hotel lobby in Las Vegas, but I like it. I don't know. It's what I wanted to do with this set when I first started seeing the miniatures, and I really like that. It's really cool. So, anyways, and so both of these guys are Ludus Magnus faction miniatures, so they will end up with that same style of base. So you can see here's the faction dice that you get with the Kickstarter, Ludus Magnus in the red, and then you've got Legio 13 in blue, Morituri in green, and then you've got down here the Zephyria or the Brotherhood in kind of this bone color. All right, so that was a lot of talking in sequence. Mark, do you want to catch us up on what you've been up to since the last time you were on the show, which was last week?
Let's see. Got at a game of Blood Bowl last Thursday, which is the final game of actual tabletop Blood Bowl for me for my season. Went ahead and
Who are you playing in Blood Bowl?
Tempted Fate, playing the Amazons, and did the I'm going to stop one square short of the goal line and try to run out the clock, and that did not quite work for me. So I ended up with a 1-1 tie against Nurgle, bringing me to an impressive 1-win, 2-loss, 2-tie season.
Okay.
See, other than that,
What did we do on Sunday?
we actually had our first Question Nights paint night, modeled somewhat after this very show. My co-host Ryan and my daughter were actually here live in studio, if you will, and Jill joined us. One of the guys from the Relic Knights group, Glenn McClune, joined us, and we were actually joined a little bit later by one of the cool studio painters, Elizabeth Beckley. So that was an awesome time. Unfortunately, Elizabeth did not realize it was a live stream, so I've taken it down just to double check with her that some of the stuff she was okay with saying live.
Okay.
But posted a bunch of pictures from that stream up on Facebook. And that was
Nice.
pretty damn enjoyable.
Good, good. Well, it's good to see more and more people painting, and I think, as we get some people that are used to painting together at a certain time or a certain place, and whether or not they hop on a feed or they join us online or they join us in the comments, I think that's kind of the point of this show. Really just to get people in the habit of the brush and painting. So, any more programming out there that has the same goal in mind, I'm all for it.
We made a new game for when I'm painting. Mark, you should tell everybody about the game.
Oh, the Jillian drinking game.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Jill gets hurt, we take a shot. Whenever Jill gets frustrated, we take a shot. If Jill gets hurt and Octave doesn't respond, we get to take 2 shots.
Oh, okay.
So
that's going to
pretty much guaranteed to be totally, S-face drunk by the end of the show.
Basically, I was down 2 beer in the first half hour.
This seems like a pretty effective drinking game as far as I'm concerned. I mean, with the intent of getting drunk which I don't think you play a drinking game unless that is your intent. And yes, sounds like a very, very effective game, I should say.
Definitely. But let's see. And also in the past week, the Adepticon web cart has opened for previews, giving us a good idea of what the slate of Ninja Division events looks like for Adepticon 2015.
Nice.
4 sessions of Super Dungeon in some form or another between Arena or PvP. Or, I'm sorry, Arcade or PvP. 2 Endless Hunger, 2 Establishing Order, and 2 Helldorado. So, we have a full slate.
Nice. Very cool. Hey, just wanted to say, looks like Tin Man XL, Steam Powered TV, popped in to say hello. And by the way, I primed my Relic Knights models and will begin painting them soon. Awesome, man. Gotta play a game. You might force me to drive all the way up to Bakersfield to play Relic Knights with you, sir. But it would be well worth the drive. I've been doing I've been doing a lot of driving lately. This past weekend was actually pretty cool weekend locally here in Southern California for Relic Knights. We had on Saturday night we had a 35-point Relic Knights tournament at the Monster in Montclair, and the one thing that was interesting about that is I showed up and they were like, "Surprise! You want to run the tournament?" But I was not surprised, as I was equipped to run the tournament. So, take that, guys. And so we ran that tournament. It was very fun. Corey, who I've been talking with on Facebook here, actually ended up winning that tournament with Corsair. So congratulations to Corey.
Wow.
For taking that tournament. 35 Soulstones Endless Hunger format, which was interesting. So 35 Soulstones and a 6 VP game. My main comment with that is 35 Soulstones and 6 VP, 35 points. 35 points and 6 VP sounds about right. You know, a right pacing for a game. Rounds were lasting about an hour. So at 35, 6 VP sounded good. We're going to play another tournament later this month at 50, and we'll see if 6 points is still okay, or if, you know, what Mark and I talked about last week with the 6 VP maybe being a little bit steep, say, Cersei Speed Circuit, if that shows up or not. So, but anyway, that was Saturday night in Montclair, and then Sunday early drove down to San Diego and met up with one of our ninja friends down there at Addie's Games in San Diego, and we played some Relic Knights down there as well. So that was just fun, kind of an open gaming demo situation. He got in a few demos. We played a multiplayer. I got to try out Jean Ramey for the very first time, and let me just tell you guys, she's a badass, and not to be taken lightly. I think though what happened with Ramey, with her crazy defensive tactic, is people that are aware of it are just not going to shoot at her. I think they're just going to let her walk around and not so much try to do damage to her, but try to do stuff like try to do knockbacks, you know, keep her out of the queue, try to thwart her line of sight or keep her out of position. I think and keeping her out of position is very difficult as well because she has fly. You know, she's a very, very strong questing knight and a great objective runner. So, have either of you guys have any experience playing the new Shattered Sword questing knight?
I don't play Relic Knights. I own them. I don't
Okay.
play them.
I've not got a chance to try her out. I did pick her up when I saw her Thursday at the game store. And, you know, of course, the extra Navarre Howard that comes with her. But not actually got a chance to put her on the table yet. I'm thinking they might be one of the next factions I go for.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Shattered Sword myself. They're one of my favorite factions, and I mainly because I like their knights quite a bit. And I think Jean for me is going to be definitely one of my go-to knights for Shattered Sword. But yeah, and then last night at Tactical Tuesday, I got to play. One of my good friend Adam is working on a game, and it's no secret, so I don't mind sharing it here with you guys. Called Parallax, and this is another like miniature skirmish game. It's got kind of an RPG element to it as well, which is kind of cool. And got to play basically a playtest game with Adam. Gave him some of my feedback as not as a game expert or anything like that, but just as a guy that plays a lot of different skirmish games. And that was cool. And I'll show you guys something too here in a minute when I get a chance. And then after that, myself and another friend played some more Relic Knights, and we played Jean again, and I brought back Suicide Queen, and I come to the realization that I suck with Suicide Queen, even though she's one of my favorites, and I need to figure out I need to relearn her, essentially. Because love Suicide Queen. She's a lot of fun. She just came out in the stores, too, so if you guys, you Cersei players, don't have her yet, I recommend picking her up, because I think the initial consensus will be, okay, she's not as strong as Malia, and none of the questing knights in Cersei, in my opinion, really even come close to Malia. But she's a lot of fun. She's a lot like playing a Star Nebula Corsairs character. She has a lot of the same kind of flip random mechanics that they have. But yeah, she's a lot of fun. So it's been a pretty busy week for me and Relic Knights. I think things are going to calm down here by the weekend, but I'm really enjoying the local scene and how many opportunities I've been having lately to get some gaming in.
Damn. Okay, it's sad when your pinning material is stronger than your cutters.
Wow.
Yes.
Did you just
Who was
destroy a
that?
pair of clippers?
Well, I tend to use piano wire,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that shit is pretty darn tough.
Somebody on my show snapped their sprue cutters. I forget who it was. That was kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Alright, so for you folks just joining, welcome to Play It Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, or what you should be painting. Go ahead and reload comments one more time, and then I'm going to go run and pick up something to show off to you guys. Okay, no other comments, so I'm going to let that, actually, before I do that, let me get this base color flushed down on Mr. Micon. Already with this Reaper brush, I'm noticing that it's not holding its point nearly as well as the Army Painter. So
That's no good.
at some point very soon, I'm just going to switch back to Army Painter, or I'll just switch back to my Winsor Newton.
How do you feel, Octave, that the Army Painter stacks up to the Winsor Newton?
The Army Painter what? I'm sorry?
How well does the Army Painter stack up to the Winsor Newton?
Oh, well, I would say it's still not as good as the Winsor Newton. It's it's able to hold a point fairly well, but in my opinion, it just doesn't release paint the same way the Kolinsky Sable does, and that gives Winsor Newton an advantage in the bigger brush sizes. In the smaller brush sizes, the Army Painter stuff that I've been using, the smaller brush sizes actually kind of wear a little bit faster too. But in defense of that, I do actually thrash my brushes quite a bit, especially when I know that they're not the Series 7 stuff. I tend to baby the Series 7 stuff, and then so I bought the Army Painter stuff specifically to abuse.
Especially with the Series 7 being unimportable at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've really been watching those. At some point, I'm probably going to switch over to the Raphael.
I don't think you can get the Raphaels either.
I'm sorry?
I don't think you can get the Raphaels either. I think the only one that you can get in the US at this point is the Scharf. And you can get those from Secret Weapon.
Ooh.
I am interested to see, Jill, how you like the Series 7.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying them. I'm really excited to try them out and see how they flow for me.
Yeah, those are my go-to, but once the whole Fish and Wildlife thing happened with Series 7, I started to look around and say, okay, I'm going to need something as backup here. In case I can't get a hold of these for a while.
I mean, I know they're working on it.
Wow, this brush really is annoying. It's not holding its tip.
I know, I don't have that issue at all.
This Reaper brush is not perform. Are you using a Reaper brush, Jill?
No, I mean about not being able to get Winsor Newtons.
Oh yeah.
Canada equals better.
You might have to be our Winsor Newton pimp up there.
Oh man. I got the goods. Hook you guys up.
That's good.
Well, I'm sending them the wrong
Pull up
direction.
in a truck and just like, hey man, I got Winsor Newton. I got Winsor Newton, man.
You guys need any Series 7? In my mind, this is going down so terribly.
Alright. Okay, so I'm going to let this layer dry. I'm going to run and grab something for you guys to check out. Be right back.
Mark.
When I say I'm going to run, I'm literally getting up and walking 3 feet. So, and I'm within earshot still.
Can you see the cloth? Does it look more purple now, or does it still look super duper black?
Starting to get purple.
I've
Starting
already
to get purple.
highlighted it up so freaking high, though. Damn it. The thing is, I don't know how light I want it. If I want it to be a really nice, dark, rich purple. It's going to stay where it is for now, and then I'm going to work on skin. That's what's going to happen.
All right,
Yeah,
so
once you get her skin in, it may change the
Exactly.
read.
oh, that's on the Kisa, right? Because yeah, the caramel skin might make the purple pop a little bit. Okay, so for you guys, some of you local guys, and for some of you non-local guys, my buddy Adam, this time, over the summer, was trying to kickstart a local con here in Orange County, and that con was called the Orange County Gaming Regional Expo, or OGRE for short. This is from the previous iteration of the con, which was known as SoCal SmackDown. And This was an interesting endeavor. We were a lot of us locally were kind of pushing this this Kickstarter campaign, and unfortunately, we fell just shy of the goal to get that funded. So it was a little bit of a letdown, but that maybe next year we'll probably have a much better shot at getting this con off the ground. But anyway, as part of the Ogre, Adam commissioned a local artist, or a once local artist, to draw up the mascot, or the Ogre himself. And it turns out that the artist was also a friend of mine. So Adam has been a friend of mine for a number of years. Lewis, who is the artist, also a friend of mine for a number of years. And what Adam did was he had, I believe, Savage Forged Minis go and cast an Ogre model that was going to be included as part of this Kickstarter for the con. Again, the con didn't fund, so no model. But what Adam did was, there was a lot of positive response about getting the model. I mean, in fact, a lot of the guys that backed the Kickstarter weren't even local guys and couldn't make the con, but they're like, I don't care, I want the miniature. So what Adam did was, after that Kickstarter failed to fund, he started a separate Kickstarter just for the miniature, just for Ogre. And he came up with the name Lewis the Ogre, because why not? It's named after the artist. And so that Kickstarter did fund. And what I have here, and I'm going to try to open this thing up without destroying it, some weird British blister this thing comes in. Apparently, Adam was explaining to me that this type of blister is only available in the UK. But this is actually one of the master sculpts for the Ogre. So I am going to break this bad boy open, if I can find it. And not kill myself on that knife. That's great. I mentioned that to see if who was paying attention. So I snuck that in. Anyway, let us try to pop this open. So Lewis the Ogre, this is again, really cool Kickstarter just for the Ogre itself and for the dice. There's some Ogre-related dice that we were supposed to get with our con badges and all that. And Adam having gone through all the work to get all that stuff ready to be manufactured, launched a separate Kickstarter. So, Ray, I know you're watching, and I'm pretty sure that you backed this Kickstarter. So the Ogres should be starting to come out pretty soon. But anyway, so here's a couple of hands. Again, this is sculpted by Savage Forged Minis. And I am going to be painting the studio version of this Ogre, which is quite an honor for me personally, because again, the Ogre itself bears some personal significance to me. It represents the endeavors of my friend Adam, and it was also drawn by another friend of mine, Lewis. So here's the body of the Ogre. Very nice quality. Very nice quality on this sculpting. There's the head of the Ogre. Love that. Love the character on the face here. Let me get it out of this little bag here so you can see the face a little bit better. Have you guys, now Savage Forge Minis is made, they sculpt for a lot of different kind of private endeavors. Have you guys seen any of the Savage Forge stuff, like up close and personal?
No.
I don't believe so.
Name, though.
Okay, so here's the head of, we're calling Lewis the Ogre. Very, the smug little grim is awesome. Love it. Okay, so there's that. And one thing that Adam does for Parallax miniatures and for the Ogre is he includes fully scenic bases, and they're customized. They're different for each of the Minotaur models and for the his other Parallax models. And the Ogre comes on this hardwood, kind of ripped hardwood base here, which is pretty cool. So, it's fairly simple design, but it's just really well executed. And again, my friend Lewis, the artist, it's just really cool to see something that a couple friends of mine kind of dreamed up and see it actually in physical form. So anyway, just thought I would share that with you guys. I know a couple of guys watching back that Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure if I have the master, you guys should be getting getting your ogres very soon here. Okay.
Octave, did you post pictures of your Kitha?
I thought I did. I actually have my Kisa right here. And show her to you.
That would be super duper.
Okay, so if we can get this to focus on you. Ah!
Perfect.
Can't see her. Okay, so you can see it's purple cloak. Kind of went with gold and black body armor there, and the white hair. She's fun. I was going to paint one of my other SDE miniatures tonight, but I think next Tuesday, some of the guys last night were asking me to bring Arena Rex so they could check it out. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay. And that kind of leads us to tonight's topic, or sort of topic for discussion here. And that is an idea that I'm calling game saturation. Okay, and let me just frame this thought, and then hopefully you guys might have something to add to it, or you might have your own take on the whole situation. So, with the onset of Kickstarter, publicly funded games, and obviously the proliferation of companies outside of, say, the big two companies that were producing miniatures games, our options these days have really expanded, really sort of exploded. And now it's not uncommon for most miniature gamers to still be waiting on one or more Kickstarters from other game systems while playing maybe a handful of systems currently. In addition, there are miniature gamers that might be playing one of the large systems and might be very loyal to those systems that still like to delve into some of these other indie games, and so they'll still buy miniatures from the range. They might actually even play once in a while outside of, say, the first time they were demoed the game. They still enjoy that aspect of being a miniature collector in addition to being a gamer and maybe a hobbyist. So my thinking along those lines is this. I look at my KR case every Tuesday night before I go to Tactical Tuesday, and it's like I have to think about, okay, who's going to be there? What should I take? How do I pack this all? And just trying to line up, and on average I'll have 3 to 4 different miniature gaming systems on me to play. And so that's a very different thing these days, and I think overall a good thing with the number of options we have. But I can't help but wonder, with the cycle of getting excited about a game, backing a Kickstarter for that game, waiting, say, 12 to 24 months in some cases for that game, and then getting excited about games in between, how many of us, myself included, are ending up with just this bloated collection of stuff that we may not even ever open? We might not even open our Kickstarters if by the time it comes out we may be so heavily into another game or so excited about another thing that we might not even get to what we actually invested in. That's in addition to kind of what I call the standard gamer sort of slack that, you know, a lot of times we just kind of let stuff sit around before we get to it. And sometimes we just never get to it. So it's not so much the fact that we're not cracking these Kickstarters and these new games open. I just wonder, you know, what that does to the future of gaming communities. Does that mean that we're still stuck playing the two big games, even though a lot of us own a lot of the other games? We just can't seem to get around to cracking them open. In other words, our wallets don't seem to be saturated, but maybe it's our time, maybe it's our bandwidth that's saturated. So, anyway, that's my opening thought on this, and that's the reason why I introduced it tonight as a topic.
I personally have no money, so I can't back any Kickstarters, which I think is kind of a blessing, because if I did have money, I would have no money because I would be backing all the Kickstarters. I kind of feel like that maybe we are oversaturating ourselves with games and ideas of games, and oh hey, this Kickstarter looks super awesome, I'm gonna toss $20 here, or I'm gonna toss $100 here because I really like this one. Like, there's just a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It all depends on the person. Like, for me, with me loving painting, I would be okay with having lots of stuff because I'd be doing it mostly for the painting. A lot of the Kickstarters that I look at, I don't look at necessarily for the gameplay. I look at more so for the quality of the minis or the potentiality of the minis, I should say, and the concept art and the concept idea of the whole thing. Like, for me, it's more about helping get someone off the ground and maybe getting some cool minis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but if you're helping somebody get off the ground, right?
Yeah.
And you know you're going to back their Kickstarter. That means their game gets published at least to the backers.
Yep.
But if we're not playing these games,
in theory,
yes, in theory, that's what's happening.
and I don't know if that there exists a kickstarted miniature game that just frankly doesn't exist on a shelf anywhere. I mean, I'm sure it's possible that somebody got funded and maybe just sent materials over to their backers and then just sort of decided that they wanted to go to retail and they were completely happy with that.
well, but okay. See, this is a very slippery slope for me.
Okay.
Mark likes Kickstarters.
Mark is burned out of Kickstarters except for one currently. And that's the Norsgaard one, which looks awesome. I'm of a lot of different minds about this topic. A good percent of them are negative, however. So this is my opinion. If you don't like it, you can fold it up into sharp little corners and shove it. I think that the proliferation of Kickstarter is not the golden age, it is the housing bubble. Because what we're going to figure out is, okay, so you've got, before Kickstarter you had, your Infinity Group, your Malifaux Group, Privateer, Games Workshop, of course, and a few other small to medium-sized companies. Yes, I had to make a choice between a rule set and the models. I might love, say, the Anima Tactics rules, but loved the Eldorado minis, and I needed to make a choice which one I was going to go into.
Okay.
Now, the problem is, Octave, you may be faced with the exact same problem. But when you look at the rules and the miniatures, we're coming to the same conclusion, but from different angles. Because there's not many choices. So you kind of start firing your sights out there until you hit something that appeals to you rules-wise, miniature-wise, and your gaming group will enjoy. So now we add, let's just throw 30 Kickstarters out into the field. Now, Jill goes ahead and hits one. Well, no one else wants to play that with her. She's just now wasted $120 trying to get her gaming group involved in something. You know, Octave, you're on the same path. You know, you may get one or two other guys to go into it, but it's really still not what they're after. And then they find a Kickstarter that appeals to them, and they back it, but again, it doesn't intersect you. So before you know it, instead of you having even 100 gamers playing 8 miniature games, so there's a variety, you may now have 150 gamers playing 40 games. At what point does it become the situation of, okay, let's say I move from Toledo and I move out to Salt Lake City. And we play Relic Knights heavy here, we play, I don't know, Arena Rex heavy here. Now I move out to Salt Lake City and figure out that the Relic Knights community doesn't exist and the Arena Rex, system doesn't exist. Where at least if you're playing Games Workshop or Warma Hordes, you're pretty much guaranteed to find something.
Yep.
And I'm kind of seeing that with Adepticon. Adepticon has opened up registration for people to make their own events. So you get a lot of people, well, I want to play this small game, so I'm going to make a little 8-man tournament. You know, and then a 16-man Relic Knights tournament, and then a 16-man Eldorado tournament, and so on and so forth. At some point as gamers, now we need to start making decisions. Well, I really want to play Necromunda. But do I really want to pack those just to play in that one event? You know, do I know the rules well enough to play in an event at a con? And I feel like at some point there's too many games, and what it's doing is it's fracturing the community because there isn't that one cornerstone.
So my question to you guys is, do you think that which is more of a limiting factor? Do you think it's the money or is it the time to try to handle all these different games?
Yes.
I have my own answer, and I can speculate on what I think the answer is for most people, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I think it's a combination of the two. For me, it's primarily the money. Like I said, if I would back a bunch of Kickstarters for the miniatures just to be able to paint the miniatures. So like not having the time to play doesn't really affect me specifically as much because I am more focused in the gaming, or not in the gaming, in the painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark? Money or time, if it comes down to it?
I think it depends on the life cycle of the game.
Okay.
Because the people who missed the Kickstarter are going to look at it as a money issue. Because, I mean, I don't know how many people have even said about something like Relic Knights. I would love to get into that if you would sell it to me at Kickstarter prices. You know,
okay.
I mean, how many of those are doing well, I missed it by a couple days, a bit of money. I'm not then going to invest twice as much at retail. But then for the people who tend to be Kickstarter heavy, I mean, I'm kind of seeing it with my own stuff. I mean, I've got Wrath of Kings on the way. There's 4 factions there. I've still got 4 factions I have not touched, not counting Prismatic and Void for Relic Knights. I've now got Helldorado on the table because I want to play that Adepticon. I've got Raging Heroes coming.
Because you're smart.
I've got...
That's why you got Helldorado out.
I've got...
Yeah!
I'm looking heavily at Norsgard now. Where, I mean, behind me on the shelf, I've got Warzone, untouched. Wild West Exodus, untouched. I don't have the time.
That's an interesting one. We can talk about that one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
So that's the thing. It becomes there's a certain subset of the people who do the I missed the Kickstarter, so I don't want to invest the money. And then there's the people who invest in a lot of Kickstarters who might have time issues. Because each of these games, I mean, after us talking, you Learn to Play Relic Knights Part 3.
Yep.
We both had different views on what we were looking at. How easy is it as a new player to get frustrated with what you're not happening on the tabletop and to move on to the next thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean that's
rage quit. And then
it's
move on, and
with
before you know
the
it,
amount of games that are out there, there's very little reason, if you have a bad experience early on, or you don't think that the game is what you expected it to be. You have so many options now, and those options are they're not typically, they're all within the same price range, so you're in it for about the same amount of money too.
Well, and the odd thing, and this is kind of a admission, I guess, for me, I cannot read a rulebook anymore. I just honestly cannot read a rulebook to save my life. Because after you've been gaming for so long, every rulebook starts to look the same. So I will start to glaze over. And
that's a really solid point.
And start missing the intricacies of the system. It's part of the reason I don't do edition changes well. Or for something like Helldorado, Jill is walking me through that book.
Yep.
Not because I cannot understand the words on the page. My brain does the movement. I know that. Shooting, D10, okay, I know that. Or D6, I know that. You stop looking at the words because you assume you know what you're doing.
It's a good point.
For me anyway.
Okay. So, to the question, I'll answer what I've seen locally, and we can use, and Relic Knights is a perfect example, because again, this is a Kickstarter that a number of people got in on. And an interesting stat. So Tactical Tuesday, for example, is typically thought of as a Warmahordes gathering, because historically it's been more Warmahordes players, and they got together on Tuesdays, and recently, in the past few months, I moved over to Tuesdays, and so they started to include the games, the Ninja games that I run. The interesting stat that my friend pointed out regarding Tactical Tuesdays was, and our knowledge of folks that have arcade Kickstarters, was that there are actually more people that we know of that had an arcade Kickstarter than there were people in there with Warmahordes. So, in the case of Relic Knights, it wasn't so much, and we're building. We're still building that community, but we know that there are several people out there that own the Kickstarter, but frankly haven't cracked them. In fact, the guy I played last night, he went in the Kickstarter for like $700. He hasn't cracked open a single model. And I was like, well, I have models, let's play. It just seemed kind of silly that he owns way more stuff than even I own for Relic Knights, and he was like, no, I haven't even cracked a single model. And his reasoning was time. Earlier that evening, I had another one of my friends come up and ask me about Arena Rex, and the specific reason he gave for Arena Rex was he saw a little bit of what you guys are doing with this game, and it really seems to fit a very specific time slot. I want to be able to put 3 to 5 models down. I want to have a fun tactical game, and I want it to be done well within an hour. And lately, that's how I've been looking at games for myself. So when I have a KR Pack 2, and when I pack it for the night, when I pack it to go gaming, I honestly look at those units, the single KR units, as a measure of time. And I go, well, one case will take care of me and maybe a friend for 2 hours worth of gaming, whether or not I have Relic Knights in there or Eldorado or Anima Tactics, SD, any of those games. I gauge it in my mind. I've got 2 hours worth of gaming in this case. And so when I pack a pack 2, I've got 4 hours worth of different gaming experiences in that case. And so my theory is, at least with the guys locally to me, who back a lot of Kickstarters, who will tell you that they're poor, but they're really in for a lot of different systems. They'll tell you, oh, I don't have money to play this game or whatever. But I honestly think it's more of the time commitment that we may not be entirely conscious of. I can afford, I'm not saying I'm rich or anything like that, because I'm not, but and myself and I think most gamers can afford a lot of different games these days, especially if you're not playing one of the big games. If you're not playing 40K or Fantasy or even Privateer, the large armies tend to run a lot more than, say, a full faction or Relic Knights. You can afford several different games, and it's not so much the money part there. It's, do you really have time to play all these games? So last year, I made the conscious effort to cut myself down to only Ninja games. And last year, I was only playing Ninja Division supported games. That's all I did. And the ironic part is, I'm looking around this room. I've got Arena Rex here. I just bought a Robotech Kickstarter off another guy who will never open it. And, I'm looking at Infinity. I just backed that Bruce Lee game that we were talking about. So I'm now back at that point where, like, wow, my game portfolio is over-expanding again. And I need to decide realistically, or I need to be honest with myself about what I can play, what I can't play. And some of these games I'll play, for maybe 1 or 2 experiences a year, and then I'll put them away. And I need to decide for myself if that is worth the money and time that I put into that game. A game like Saga, that we love Saga locally. A lot of people love Saga, but at the most we're going to play it 3 to 4 times a year. Is it worth me owning, what do I have, like 4 Saga armies? Yeah, I think I've got 4 Saga warbands. Is it worth me having that stuff? Granted, it's all painted, but I mean, I think I'm more the exception rather than the rule there.
Well, I think some of that comes down to where you sit on that. I mean, do you want to mix it up every time? Yeah, especially if you end up with an underperforming army, just due to, I don't want to say bad mechanical choices necessarily, but the rule of cool. Just because something looks cool doesn't mean it's good in game. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of gamers have gotten bit by, they build something that looks cool and just doesn't work on the tabletop.
Right.
Or you get beat by your friend's Scorn army 18 times, So you start to move over.
Sure. So here's a comment from Corey. I love mini games. I can't get enough of miniature games that are on Kickstarter. Sarah said, you just explained me, but I don't care. Never going to quit Kickstarters.
I agree.
Okay, well, you know what, Corey? Yes, we did describe you, and you are a perfect example because you are a Kickstarter junkie. But you're not the only one that I know, as you know. We know several Kickstarter junkies. And you know what? I'm going to come clean and say I'm a Kickstarter junkie, because I am. But, the self-awareness, I think that's fine. You're like, you know who you are. Hey, I'm just going to get in on that. I don't care. I'm going to play it. It's your money. It's your time. It's what you're going to enjoy. And some people just enjoy owning the stuff, even if they don't play it or paint it or whatever. There's some sort of a joy that's involved in acquiring material, and that's definitely not limited to miniatures gamers. You see people that collect like watches or shoes or that kind of stuff. So, it's definitely not a new phenomenon.
So what you're saying is that Kickstarter addicts are hoarders.
Not exactly, but there is some element of that in there. There is. But yeah. I like to say that a lot of miniature gamers are collectors as part of their hobby, and they just don't. It's just a matter of not consciously recognizing that. You enjoy acquiring the new game or the new codex or the new miniature or whatever, but you have no intent of playing it or using it or painting it. You're a collector. You enjoy that aspect.
At some point, you need to be honest with yourself. Is the joy of having working up?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, my other question has to do with, say, on the manufacturing side. So, there are, say, manufacturers, larger manufacturers, that some people might accuse of abusing the Kickstarter crowdfunding arena in order to fund their projects. And we all know who those companies are, and we know, then there's definitely a few of them running around out there. There's some companies that just go through cycles of, oh, here's this product, we're going to kickstart that, and as soon as that's done, or even before that's done, let's go ahead and start another one, let's put that one out. And, these projects all fund, they all get out there, and yeah, they do end up on shelves. But my question to you guys is, do you think those companies how do you think they approach the sustainability of individual systems? Do you think that they are just cranking, Kickstarter after Kickstarter out, and it doesn't matter if people play it or not? Hey, it got funded. Let's put it on a couple shelves. If it ships a few units, fine. If not, so what? We're on to this other Kickstarter. Or do you think those companies are legitimately worried about, hey, we're making all these different games, but how the hell do we plan on supporting them?
Well, I'm sure if the fans are going to hand you a cool mill, you don't really care at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure. I've kind of heard it described as there is it's like a dollar amount per person that you can, kind of expect to get out of a gamer. Jill, take a drink.
Okay.
That you can expect to get out of a gamer
I didn't hurt myself.
in their lifetime.
Case. And there really is no incentive to support these systems, right? Because you've made your money up front.
Well, and as long as you have an outlet for the game, and I'm thinking more for miniature-based board games than this,
Okay.
where you can now send them to your your bookstores, your Walking Dead tie-in type games or something like that, or even get them into your Target or Walmart if you're lucky. That's one thing. But
do you think that?
I think there's some games that shot themselves.
Oh, did I lose?
Nope.
Did we lose Mark or me?
Yeah, we lost Mark.
Ah.
So in the meantime, while we wait for Mark to reconnect, we do have a few questions on Google+.
Oh, cool. I forgot to totally open that up, but thank you.
I got a message on Facebook saying, hey, can you check to see if my questions are being seen?
Okay, so let's open up the Q&A on Google+.
Your video's gone too, Octave.
I'm sorry?
Your video is gone?
My video's gone. Uh-oh.
Your video's gone.
I hope it comes back. It's on my screen. I'll check. Okay, so let's see. We've got a lot of David Luff questions. What's up, David? Okay, so sorry, dude. I have Q&A enabled, and I totally forgot to open it up here. So let's see. Caught in a few gaming systems, don't play often, but love the models. Money, and you feel that money is the biggest issue there. And do you think Anima Tactics cards need to be updated? I find the different card formats and small type a pain during the game. I'm going to say resoundingly yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Would love it.
Ow.
So, just for the benefit of the other folks that might not play or follow Anima Tactics, Anima Tactics has 2 card formats, same like the way Eldorado has 2 card formats, and the Anima Tactics cards are generally a little simpler than Eldorado cards. There's fewer rules on them, but they use a lot of symbols for the stats, and they had this. The old format was really kind of weird because it was like they had the character window, and the stats just kind of do a little swirl around the character art window, and so that was a little awkward. Then the type, like David was saying, the type on these cards get really small, especially with some of the more complex models, like say like Cordelia. Some of those models that run 2 cards, Lilith, it gets really intricate. And some of the wording is also interesting. But in general, yeah, I think that Anima Tactics could go with a cleaner format and would love to see one. One of the things that they might do is, with the action point system and the blue dots and all that they might be able to kind of shrink just that portion of it, because the dots take up artwork, and I don't know. It just they might even shrink the art windows as well to accommodate a little bit more room on there, and maybe increase their typeset. So good question, David. I don't know. That's a great. I think that's just a great discussion to have with maybe Cypher. Well, actually, no, I don't even know if Cypher is in charge of that. That might be an Anima Studios question. I don't know. Let me fix one of my lights here real quick.
Yeah, I don't know quite who owns Anima. I heard somebody describing it in very colorful terms today to me.
Was it me?
I don't know. Is it something you can share on the air?
I'm going to keep my thanks to myself.
Yes, it's you.
Having a weird thing happen with my lights here in the room. That's fun.
That's not good.
That's okay. As long as it doesn't catch fire. Why did it
My
do
thumb is like striped from when I was doing the cloth. I paint all over my hand.
I think the bulb just died. Okay, let me turn on another light. Screw you, environment. Can't stop me from painting. Here we go. Okay.
I'm a little shocked at the Eldorado miniatures. The small surface area of some of these joints.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely any of the human models have some very fiddly joints.
Uh-huh.
All right, so if you're
The Immortals, right?
live, let us know what you're painting or what you should be painting. Tonight we're talking about too many games, or maybe just too many miniatures.
Never
I guess
enough
that's the
miniatures.
easiest way to put it.
Well, there's always enough miniatures.
Never enough miniatures.
As long as you have one more, you'll never die, right?
That's how it works. A painter
Now,
dies.
do you guys,
after making their last
do
miniature.
you guys have any you guys employ any strategies for cycling through games or miniatures? Do you guys ever go through and like take inventory and say, hey, I'm not playing that anymore, I'm going to sell it, or...
Take that back. You heathen.
I sell stuff when it's not a game that I'm enjoying, and I'm not planning on ever playing. Like, I sold all of my Warma Hordes, and I don't feel even a little bit sad about it. That's not true. I feel sad about selling my Galleon. Everything else could have just fucking go.
I will not sell a game. I will. That does bad things to me. Because inevitably, the minute you sell it,
Everybody else is going to want to play it?
Murphy's Law, and Murphy's an asshole.
True story. That's why Jill always stabs herself with her paintbrush.
So, but, I mean, it's funny. I mean, like, it is so easy to collect things. Whether you're an older gamer and it's nostalgia, or you're just going along with the unwashed masses. I mean, it's very easy to get sucked into games you may not really be interested in. They just sit on your shelf, or, you know, the sculpts got changed, or you go into a Kickstarter and the guy comes out a year and a half later, it's deal with delays, and suddenly it's a $250 game. It's still not being delivered yet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, David is saying loves the artwork for Anima Tactics, and in fact, when I first bought Anima Tactics, it was not with the intent of playing it. I just wanted to paint those miniatures, and I ended up liking the game. But that was, like in Jill's case, that was like secondary to my goal of wanting to paint those miniatures.
Are you okay?
And these,
Are you sure?
uh-oh.
But it feels like you need to
Okay.
know what your gaming group wants.
Okay.
Unless you're perfectly happy playing with yourself. And I know Jill plays with herself quite a bit. I mean,
Hey! That is not appropriate for the show, damn it, Mark.
no, I know
Have
a
you
lot
not
of
seen
games.
the show before?
I know a lot of games
I've
are
been on the
starting
show.
to include solo play rules.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dead Zone did that really well. So that people can learn the rules themselves and play when they don't necessarily have anybody.
Go lay down.
Okay.
Go lie down.
Yeah, I up until 3 years ago, Mark, I was exactly like you. I would not sell anything that I owned, and even if it was really really old stuff that I knew I was never going to pick up and play again. but you know, it just got to the point where it wasn't so much about needing money as much as it was like I don't have any more space in my carrying case, or and you know, and I need to make room in this closet for whatever. So that for me kind of spurred me into selling off a lot of stuff, and actually I'm at one of those points now where I actually do need to go through and either sell or trade off some systems that I'm not using anymore. Like Jill said, I've got 3 Warma Hordes armies, and I'm probably just going to cut down to 1. The only reason why I'm going to keep the 1 is because aesthetically I really liked painting the little Retribution army that I've got. And, you know, on the off chance I want to play it sometime, somebody for fun, I'll have an army. So there's stuff like that.
And that's the thing. I mean, within the past year, I've decided War Machine Hordes would be fun. And I've pretty much collected 3 almost complete armies and pieces of others. But then you realize you just don't have the time. You need to paint the stuff. You feel guilty about not being a hobbyist. And I mean,
yeah, for me, I really enjoyed painting the Warma Hordes army. The stumbling block I got to was when I was done painting it, people coming up and saying, "Oh, that's just not optimum."
Yeah. Well, and then the other part of that is, for us older gamers, there's some nostalgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember sitting at Young's newsstand in Bowling Green, Ohio, and there were 2 games you could choose. One was, you know, the Variety of Games Workshop, and the other was Warzone. And I can remember happily painting up and getting flack for painting up the Brotherhood guys from War Machine or Warzone in my school colors.
Oh, and those first generation Warzone models, woo!
Yeah, I mean, I can fondly remember the stone Pope on the back of this stupid little car. I mean,
yeah, they were
dorky.
I'll say this about the original Warzone miniatures. There were a couple of cool ones, and then there was the other stuff that we all remember from Warzone miniatures. That said, I still own my first generation Mishima Core and have very, very fond memories. And I would have sold it. There's just no market at all to sell that.
But that's the thing. When Warzone came up, I bought in. Not because I was interested, but because I had fond memories of it.
Yeah, and they almost had me. They almost had me on Warzone. In fact, there's a group locally that plays the new Warzone, and I've been meaning to get down and just get a demo of it. But I don't think I will ultimately get into Warzone. There's other stuff too, like Infinity 3.0, that I promised a friend of mine I'm going to play, because he's a really nice guy. I enjoy gaming with him, and he's played everything that I've shown him. You know, I spend, as you guys know, I spend a lot of time just kind of pimping these Ninja Division games, and he plays all of them with me. So I would be kind of a bad person if I didn't jump in and play some Infinity with him, which is the game that he is really interested in. So I do have a painted Infinity starter that I've had for a couple of years now, and the plan is when he gets Operation Ice Storm, we're gonna play a game of Infinity.
Octave, we all know you're a bad person. Don't try to.
Oh yeah, I am a bad person. I make no excuses about that. No, for sure. Clearly a bad person.
The worst.
But yeah.
Obviously.
But yeah, yes, arguably the worst. I think me and Mark might be in a competition.
I mean, if that's in this group, that will make me so freaking happy.
But it's like you're saying, you kind of need to get take a pulse of what your local groups are playing. But that's not to say that you can't also affect your local group. So a lot of these guys want to play Infinity, and that's cool, and I'm going to join them in Infinity. But let's reciprocate that too, and let's get them. These guys will also play Relic Knights in Eldorado.
Play all the Eldorado. Everybody should play all the Eldorado.
Everybody should play Eldorado. I'm sorry, I gotta beat on that drum again. Everybody should be playing Eldorado. Seriously.
If you're not playing Eldorado, you have issues.
Too bad there isn't a Eldorado hobbycast we can listen to.
I will hang up on this call. That is a low blow.
Jill,
that's fantastic.
Don't rage quit on the show.
No, I'm gonna quit.
And Mark pulls ahead in the bad person category, ahead of Octave.
You guys suck.
I don't know. I think I was pretty damn good today, so.
You were, sir.
You guys are the worst.
But yeah, I don't know. And so right now I'm worried because I have all these games, and I'm actually in this problem right now. I have all these games, and I want to play all of them, but realistically I'm going to have to make some hard and fast decisions here on what gets to stay and what doesn't. Because it just really isn't. It's just really not going to work out if I keep, say, Ronin, because I played exactly 3 games of Ronin, but I still have stuff sitting around for it. Dead Man's Hand, that's another one. I've been trying to get rid of that. It's a fun game. I'll play it once every 4 years, maybe, but I don't need it. I have like 5 crews for Inner Majesty's Name. I play like that game maybe twice per year, so if I cut down to, say, 2 companies for IHMN, I'd still be fine. It's stuff like that I look at and go, okay, if I'm going to pick up, and I actually need to make deals with myself, right? If I'm going to start playing Robotech, I need to get rid of X game. And I hope I can do it. I hope I can actually hold myself accountable to do that kind of thing. But it's hard.
Kind of where I am with Norsgard. I'm looking, and the miniatures are gorgeous. But I already know I won't have anybody to play with. And
we can play online. That's a thing, right? And
I probably wouldn't actually paint the miniatures. I would just send them to Jill to paint.
I'm totally okay with that. Continue backing them so that I don't have to buy the game to be able to paint the minis.
But there's just that war. The lure of Kickstarter is it's like discovering Nirvana when they were still a club band or something. Knowing the band before they were big, or knowing that you're getting 40% off.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's just huge. But, then you quickly end up with the gotta get 'em all mentality. Yay, Pokemon. And before you know it, you've spent a stupid amount of money.
On things that you don't even own yet?
On stuff you don't even need.
So, do you think with all of the number of these smaller indie games and the ease of access we have to them by Kickstarter or buying other people's Kickstarters, just the mere idea that we are basically flooded with all this stuff. Do you think that's what's hindering one of these, say, 4th or 5th games from getting into the conversation about what are the games that people are playing? Is there just such a tight race for, say, 5th right now because of things come into a store and people get excited and they play it, then this other Kickstarter comes out and it quickly knocks that one out, and is that what you guys think that's what we're seeing? Is that a side effect of the gaming saturation that we're seeing here?
Yeah, but Octave, I almost think it's more dangerous than that.
Okay.
I mean, okay, what do you guys think the average buy-in for a miniature game is nowadays? $150?
For 2 players, yeah, probably. Well, 2-player starter set per player, you're looking at say $50 to $75. I'd say.
Yeah,
The
I agree with that
difference.
too.
Okay, so let's just start at $75, and I don't know what a video game costs anymore, but little Johnny gets birthday money from Grandma, sees this really, really cool game, picks it up from another gamer, and figures out either something like Arena Rex, where the miniatures are so fine that they end up breaking, or there's nobody to play with,
Okay.
where they quickly suddenly decide that their $75 from Grandma was a total waste of time. We just lost another gamer.
Yep.
Where if you have fewer games and little Johnny wants to get into, say, War Machine, and picks up, the Khador battle box and goes that way, at least he's likely to get in a couple games and might have his eyes open to something new, as opposed to having a bad experience to start with and never going back. That's my fear.
Okay.
If there's too
Yeah,
many choices, it's too easy for somebody new to make the wrong choice.
Okay. What about the folks that maybe get in, and I've seen this happen quite a bit, but just to kind of reverse the situation, the folks that get in way deep on the, say, GW train, and they start that as their opening game, which most of us do. But I've seen a lot of people start, they buy the, what's the newest one called? Dark Friends of Things. Everything's dark.
Vengeance,
Shoulder pad, one of those.
Dark Vengeance.
Dark Vengeance. So they get that, and they're like, hey, this is really good value, whatever. And they're enjoying that. But to really get in and start playing, they do a little bit of math, or maybe mom and dad does a little bit of math, and they're like, hey, guess what, Johnny? Not going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And again, we lost another gamer. I at this point, it's like, is that are we trading one poison for another poison?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, and then the other thing is, and I know this is slightly off topic, but how do you get new gamers into the hobby anymore?
Yeah.
Games Workshop at least used to advertise in stuff like Dragon Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't wander into a Games Workshop store, or a store where people are actually playing and willing to be friendly and help, how does anybody know?
Yep.
I mean,
well, one of the things that we do, and one of the things that I really like about Ninja Division is, we're looking at not just staying within the gaming conventions. We look at going to things like anime conventions and comic conventions and sci-fi conventions, because that could be your next fandom, and I firmly believe that that's a good ground to find people that might be receptive to the idea of miniature gaming.
I agree completely.
So, but yeah, I mean, the other thing is, with these smaller indie games, there is a significant amount of hand-holding that you have to do to get this game off the ground. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here with you guys. It's not the same thing as, walking in and just today you could walk in SoCal, you could walk into a store, buy some Warmahordes, build it, and by the time you're done building it, there's a good chance that you could be getting in a game with a complete stranger.
Mhm.
And these other games just don't have that kind of market penetration, and they don't have. And granted, it's taken Warmahordes a decade to get to that point. Do these games and the proliferation of games are these games even going to be around long enough for that part of their life cycle? And back to the other question, do the manufacturers even care? Because it doesn't seem like, unless you're talking a large-scale war game, like, say, 40K or even Warmahordes, where you can constantly update material and continually expand the range and even increase the game size, some of these smaller skirmish games, it just doesn't seem like there's much incentive to continue to maintain a player base when most of their money, they've already spent most of their money that they're going to spend towards you. I don't know if that made any sense or not.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason that GW went ahead and binned things like Blood Bowl and Necromunda and Mordheim.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't cost effective, I guess.
Yeah, they already had our principal money. They're, the money spent on trying to maintain or update those smaller systems compared to, say, cranking out yet another box of Space Marines. It just doesn't make economic sense for them.
True.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this, with the whole
saturation. I guess I'm thinking of Kingdom Death on this.
Okay.
Where Adam's come through and said that, the base game that we paid $100 for at Kickstarter is now $250 at retail. What are the chances that the market is going to buy a $250 game based on boobs and penis monsters?
Very, very nicely sculpted boobs and penis. Thank you very much.
But it's still not child-friendly. So if your friendly local game store isn't going to want to carry it because they don't want to piss off the adults, is there a market for the niche, ones? There's a lot of 28mm scale games, but I'm thinking like naval games don't tend to last because they're, again, a niche market. Spartan didn't make it, Man-O-War didn't make it, Dreadfleet didn't do so hot, but people keep putting them out because they like them.
Yeah.
Just because I can make a really cool game, if it's the wrong genre for whatever the current gamer mentality is, I'm sunk.
So, what about those companies like, say, Impact Miniatures, or a lot of these other, Antenna CD is another one. These companies that don't publish rules, they just put out miniatures, and you can, use those miniatures, and it does look like those miniatures are often geared towards a specific system or game. But there seems to be a market for those smaller guys too, and as long as they keep their scope of operations small, and they keep low overhead, and Kickstarter is a good thing for them, right? Because they can just cycle through one set of miniatures, knowing that there's really not going to be much in terms of repeat customers there, and they can just keep cranking out a set of miniatures, and when there is, they can always just put it back out on Kickstarter and basically do it as a pre-ordering system.
And that's certainly a possibility, but you also need to be a smart businessman if you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Justin from Secret Weapon was did the panel for Adepticon last year, which is up on Adepticon Talks if you want to go back and listen to it. And he said there's a lot of things that people don't consider. It's okay, well, I went ahead and contacted my factory in China, and they're going to produce 10,000, resin plastic sprues of this, and they're going to put it in boxes, and they're going to ship it to me. Fine. But then it gets to customs, and somebody's like, okay, what truck line do you now want 2 containers of miniatures? And now where are you going to unload those at? And, the tax liability, and if you're not thinking clearly, it's going to be so easy to get sunk by Kickstarter. And then I think a lot of people look at Kickstarter as you need to go in low in order to get funded right away. Because if you can get funded right away, you're good. But then we've been trained as consumers that we want things shoveled to us by the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't get buckets of product for free, we're not interested. And then the other odd thing, I think what Eric Johns from Weird Miniature said to me, he's like, Mark, you realize with Kickstarter backers think they're entitled to more information than your actual business investors are?
That's a really good point.
I feel bad for anyone on Kickstarter nowadays. Because as Kickstarter backers, we're a bunch of raging assholes.
A bunch of gamers were a bunch of raging assholes.
Yeah.
I hear worse stories on the video game side. The Kickstarter backers for video games tend to be incredibly ravenous.
But I can understand it. If you look at, Mantic pulling in $750,000 for, Dead Zone or Dungeon Saga, and Cool Mini pulling in over $1 million on their board games. And they can somewhat treat people like crap. And we keep shoveling the money.
Yep, it's true. Well, that's almost, well, in my opinion, a lot of that is sort of the addict, our addict-like behavior in gaming and manufacturers knowing that you can there are a lot of liberties you can take with addicts.
Yes. And that's exactly right. We're addicts.
So, okay, so here's another comment on YouTube. Quitting one game to start another sounds like a bad idea to give yourself. You should be selective with the games you invest time and money in, but do not put artificial boundaries on yourself. There comes a point where you have to say, I just plain love games. I wish I could play this one, but I don't need to consider putting it on the chopping block. That will not prevent me from buying this starter and this character for this new game, which I'm excited about. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's a good point there. For me, though, it's really getting out of a game isn't typically not a bad thing for me, because I seem to getting the value back, because when I'm selling them painted,
Mm-hmm.
usually make retail or a little bit more, depending on the game system. So
Yep.
I also consider it worth my time and money to have enjoyed the game as briefly as I did, and also consider painting the miniatures part of that enjoyment. So, overall, when I get into and get out of a game, I walk away thinking that was a fairly good investment. I don't walk away from games. I seldom walk away from a game thinking, okay, that was not worth my time or my money.
I
So,
agree
but
completely
I
with
do
you,
see
Alfred.
that situation probably isn't the same for a lot of other people out there. Jill, did I miss something?
I just said that I agree completely with you.
Yeah, it's like what David was saying. He loves the artwork for Anima Tactics. Painting the miniatures for me for Anima Tactics was enough for me to get into purchasing miniatures, and the fact that I ended up enjoying the game was just sort of gravy.
Yeah, for me, the artwork and the beautiful miniatures was enough for me to justify spending money on Anima.
Okay. But I do realize that situation isn't
Oh yeah, for sure.
isn't the same for everybody. It's just one of those little side perks of enjoying painting. Is you can get your value without having to have to rely on other people to play the game with you or whatever. You can just enjoy it for painting nice miniatures.
All I
And if
can
you
say
can
is,
sell
what
them,
is
then
wrong
that's
with you people?
what's that?
All I can say is, what is wrong with you people?
So coming along here so far on these miniatures,
Coming along.
My con's looking pretty cool. I need to do more layers of flesh here, but very fun. I appreciate the comments tonight, folks. Thank you for adding to our discussion, because I think this is a cool. I don't know. It's just a cool thing for us to just kind of get out in the open and kick around a bit. So it will be interesting to see. Now, there are some franchises that I think, to my definition, are a Kickstarter success story in that they ended up becoming repeatable franchises. I don't necessarily base that on the idea that they keep doing Kickstarters every time they want to do the next season of, whatever zombie-induced game, or pretty sure I can see it.
Nope.
But, technically those games are successful because you could argue that they could go into a full retail model and not require Kickstarter anymore to sell units.
Okay, but
now,
what gets me on that, Octave, now is not the game and how it's marketed. What really makes me hate's a bad word, but upset is the add-on market.
okay,
I mean, the inflating the value because you're going to do, $20 add-ons, or the special limited edition Kickstarter only.
Twilight Knight?
I mean, I know a lot of people were mad at Ninja Division over the way they handled Relic Knights and the special editions and Forgotten King. But it sucks seeing a really, really cool miniature across the table, something like the Eldorado Twilight Knight, and wanting that, and then going to eBay and seeing it for $100.
Yep.
Knowing that somebody bought 6 of them for $10 a pop with the sole purpose of flipping them on eBay.
Yep, and making their money back on their Kickstarter. Totally get you.
That pisses me
Jill,
off.
what can you name? A model or two that you regret not having access to?
The Eldorado Twilight Knight is one.
Okay.
The it's gonna be all freaking Twilight Knights. any of the Twilight Knights that were in any of the Kickstarters that I didn't back, like the Eldorado one, the Mark, where does the Kiwi one come from?
You have the Wrath of Kings one, you have the Forgotten King one. Although the Forgotten King one will be general release, I believe.
Yeah, I think Soda Pop's kind of like they've taken the stance now that they're going to make all the pieces eventually available.
Yeah. The only thing that will be con exclusive, guys, is the Penny Arcades, because that was a contract negotiation with Penny Arcade. So.
I just need one of every Twilight Knight ever created.
What about you, Mark? Any big miniatures that you're looking for that come to mind?
I'm actually kind of disappointed that I missed out on a couple, or I chose not to go in on a couple of the resin Wrath of Kings models.
Okay.
Now that I'm starting to look at this from a painter side, some of the resins might have been nice to have.
I was talking to Jill today about one that I really, really wanted, and I still want. And this is an Anima Tactics model. And David, if you're still watching, I know you're here with me on this one. There is in Anima Tactics. There's the limited edition Cilia model. Is a Wizen Shaft model. That model on eBay typically goes from between, say, 150 to 250 bucks. If you can find that model for $100, it's actually worth buying for the fact that you could turn it around and sell it for twice that. That's not the model I'm talking about, though, because I actually did blow $100 on that model. But the model that I'm talking about is another limited edition Cilia model that was put out as a Kickstarter backer perk for the Anima video game. And this model is just absolutely beautiful. And I was totally blown away by it. And come to find out that the only way to get it is if you back the Anima video game at the $500 level. So it's not like you don't have to buy the model for $500. You just get, in my opinion, $490 of game that you don't need to get at this miniature. And I love the miniature. And it's one of those things that I tried to corner Kai about at Comic-Con because I really want one. But yeah, that's big on my wish I could get list. And it's a shame that when you see models like that. Another one really quickly for me is the Eldorado Traveler Officer model. That when she shows up on eBay, it's not that expensive. The last one I missed, she went for like $23. And I'm going to get you, Jose Peral, buying that if you're watching.
Octave,
I know.
If you're watching the eBays for her, get one for me.
I don't care. But yeah, that's another model.
That's one that I really want to.
The Traveler, the Traveler that the Independent that came with the latest round. That one I have, and she's kind of cool. But I really want the Officer version, because I think that's
the one that you have, and the other one. Long story short, I would like to own all of the Eldorado minis.
I'm with you there.
Paint one of each of them, or more.
Let me reload comments here, see if we have any more comments. So again, welcome to Play It Painted Live. If you guys are painting anything, let us know what you're painting or what you should be painting.
Guys, it's been 2 hours.
You can name a limited edition Kickstarter model, one of those things that you passed up and you wish you had. Go ahead and include that in the comments as well. Troy Perez. There's nothing wrong with flipping a Kickstarter. I made a lot of money through the breach. Yeah, that was one that I backed, and well, Troy and I talked about this a few times. We've been trying to. I tried to get out of that Kickstarter, but once it showed up, I turned it around, and flipped it. So, just one of those things. They wouldn't give us. They wouldn't issue us a refund on that game. So you know, you turn around, you don't like it, we can sell it. So yeah, you guys have any other thoughts on this saturation topic?
Kickstart all the games, play all the games, have all the miniatures. Screw what everyone else thinks.
Screw it. I like that attitude.
I am an adult. I will play all the games that I want to play.
Play all the games.
Joe, you either need a sugar daddy or you need a better job. Because
You are not wrong, sir. You are not wrong.
ow, son of a bitch!
What did you do?
I would not.
I stabbed myself.
Uh-oh. Am I not allowed to ask if you're okay? Can I just assume that
Oh,
you're okay?
you're fine. I'm fine. I'm just bleeding.
See,
How many beers is it?
It's okay. You don't check if I'm okay. God. I've said ow like 3 times during the show.
I expect you to have some sort of accident around once every 15 minutes or so.
That's not completely inaccurate.
So, yeah, I'm looking for bigger things on your accident side. You know, if I hear a bone break or fire starting or something, then
How would you hear fire starting?
Well, I don't know, the crackling, choking on fumes. I don't know. Maybe.
The thing is, I don't think you'd even ask me on here if I was alright. You'd like send me a Facebook and be like, "Hey, you okay?"
Hey, okay. Maybe one of the viewers would ask. But then, I read comments like 10 minutes late, too. I think our new topic is the inefficiency of Octave to address what's going on around him. We can discuss that. I'm totally cool with that topic.
I feel like Octave doesn't communicate enough.
Yeah.
Rage quit. Rage quit.
Rage quit. Wait. I'm still talking. Come back. I'm back.
Oh, sorry. Communication. I'm back. I'm totally back, guys.
Oh, it's funny. Too few people. All right. So, So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep painting here. We may go overtime because I really want to finish MyCon here because I love MyCon.
So what you're saying is Mark
Super
has to
fun.
stay up past 2 in the morning.
Oh no, Mark, if you need to go, man, by all means, it's cool. Go to sleep, get some rest. Totally, I totally appreciate your even willingness to turn on a computer at this hour in your godforsaken time zone, or that land, the land of the future, we'll call it.
Things we do for boobs, right?
Hey.
Hey, we didn't talk about boobs.
No, we did not. That's not
So-
true. We talked about Kingdom Death and we said boobs and penis monsters. Boobs happen.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about boobs. But we didn't
Because
talk
I figure I need to be here to make it 4 boobs as opposed to. I'm tired. I'm bleeding.
You are tired.
Tired and
Yeah, it's
bleeding.
okay. You can say call it, man, if you want to sleep. I totally hear you. I am actually going to start doing some of the marbling on the bases here because it's fun. And I like doing that. And it looks cool. So, now that our topic is exhausted,
Are we going to talk about Octave's inefficiency at noticing things around him?
Yes.
All right.
Because when I'm painting, my head is totally down.
Mark, what are your thoughts on Octave's efficiency levels?
Who?
No?
My attentiveness or lack thereof.
I think all
I'm
three of us
paying
are kind of like
attention to
that.
him. What are you talking about?
All right, so Jill pays attention.
Cool. So, while we're here, we'll just do this. I'm going to just do this marbling. Because it's cool, and it's fun, and you should do it, because it's super easy. So, and you notice that these bases are the same style as the Kingdom Death bases. They're both kind of that raised center. And I just think that it's just a fun shape. It's usually I look at these well, like the Relic Knight bases where most of the round lip 30 mil, 30, 40, 50 mil bases, they're sunken in, and with the intent of you're going to put something in there and use that as your basing. These are raised almost as if to sort of, to my mind, almost sort of just to highlight the miniature itself. So instead of dropping gravel on this or any of those other type of basing effects, I was thinking, well, if they're supposed to look like pedestals and they're really high quality sculpts, let's make them look like they're fine marble pedestals. And now I kind of want some of those pin-up Kingdom Death models, because I would love to do this type of thing for those models as well. So for most of the designs, except for the Zephyri, I start with Vallejo Black Gray and just paint the entire base down.
How much do you dilute your paint?
That is a very common question that I'm asked. I start with a 1-to-1 dilution of paint, and then I'll go more from there. For things like flesh, I'll go almost 2-to-1 because I'm going to do more layers. In fact, Mycon here might actually need another layer of flesh.
Okay.
And then another light wash.
With me deciding to do the crystal brush competition this year at Adepticon, I'm trying out a whole bunch of different painting techniques and styles and just trying to figure out what works best for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking everybody. I ask all the people all the things.
Yeah, I tend to go.
I've been watching a few videos and they're all saying that dilute your paint to the consistency of skim milk.
Yep.
And that's scary because I'm not used to working with paint that's that thin.
Another thing, I don't know that a lot of videos tell you this, but when you see, when I dip my brush into the thin paint, the very first thing I do is I'll take the tip of the brush, and then I'll just touch it to like a piece of cloth or a towel or maybe a sponge, just to wick that excess water out of it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then it's just going to run all over the model, and you're in for a bad day. So that's typically what I do. So I thin it down quite a bit, and then I pull the top layer water off. And then it's just a matter of applying with the flesh. I apply a little bit of paint, and then I'll start mixing in the color I'm transitioning towards. So my typical like Caucasian flesh, I'll start with this heavy skin tone, and then I start mixing in basic skin tone until I get to basic skin tone as my
But I
color.
think I have basic skin tone.
It does end up being quite a few layers on flesh, and if you're doing female flesh, I go a lot of layers.
Mm-hmm.
Female flesh, probably in the area of say 8 to 12, and that's actually, you know, if you talk to a lot of like veteran players, 8 to 12 layers on flesh, they won't consider that excessive. I think a lot of painters, most painters will though. Like your average, I paint guys with shoulder pads guy is gonna go, whoa, that's crazy.
So you mean a wargamer that paints, rather than a painter that games?
Okay. Yes. That is what I mean. Yes. I will agree with that.
Joe, why do you not put something on the bottom of your cork to make it stand up? Okay.
Because it stands up fine on its own.
Okay. I just wondered why you were putting Kisa in timeout. I just wondered why you were putting Kisa in timeout.
Yeah, what did Kisa do to you, man? Yeah, I need to, at some point, I need to get back to that Relic Knights SDE set. It's kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of priority for a number of reasons, like Extra Life stuff, and then once that finished, I had some commissions waiting behind that, so then I cleared that out. Then I had Arena Rex show up, so now I'm going through Arena Rex, and then I've got another commission, so I'm going to go back to a commission, and then hopefully at that point I can actually start diving into Robotech.
And you've got Rockstar showing up tomorrow, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I'll have Rockstar showing up. The
I'm super sad that stuff shows up to you as quickly as it does, and not to me.
I saw that Mark, that on your show you were painting the Fireflow denizens in sort of like in that arcane or eldritch green type of theme. I might do that on the Roxor set, because that's kind of cool.
High five, Jill. Good idea.
I know you did it.
We'll see. I'm going to play around with greens and see if I can get to a look that I like. If I get lazy, though, I will probably fall back on the standard fire scheme, which Dave Leach picked up. That's what he's getting. Which, actually, I think he already received his from the Extra Life raffle. He got a Fireflow Denizen set that's just basically the fire, the things of fire.
Who's this, Dave?
Yeah, he won one of the raffles, one of my raffles, and got a Fireflow Denizen set. I don't know what he can do with it, because I don't think he owns any other SDE.
No, I don't think he does.
But hey, it's okay. Okay. Ugh. Okay, so let's give this guy a light. Another light Seraphim sepia wash. And I mean light. We're going to go super light on this one. Just almost more of a tint. So yeah, our next Relic Knights tournament happening in a brewery. Should be fun.
So freaking jealous.
It's an 18+ tournament. So if you're 18, you can attend the tournament. You are basically flagged as a designated driver, so you do not get to. And from what I'm told, part of your entry fee includes a taster. You get a taster for signing up for the tournament, and then you get to play in this 50-point arcade tournament where I think they're using the established order format. So we're going to be playing to 8, but I don't know, and we'll see how that goes.
I want to play a tournament at a brewery.
And that should be fun. Relic Knights tournaments, the ones that we've had locally, and I think this might just be more a reflection of the meta, the people that were getting to play the game. They're a lot more easygoing than most of the other like miniature gaming tournaments you'll see in this area. So I like it.
I think, ladies, gentlemen, I'm calling it.
Alrighty. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on, sir, and hopefully you get some rest, feel a little bit better.
We love you, Mark. And he's off.
So, oh, wow, that was, okay.
That's how his goodbyes go.
There we go. Okay. I don't know if that's, sometimes I do that too. I noticed lately I've been doing that when I get off the phone with, like, family or something. My dad, the guy that does that, he doesn't, he'll just not say goodbye. He just suddenly is not there.
That makes me so angry.
And I catch myself doing that too lately, like, whoa. No, I do that.
I enjoy it when people actually take the time to say goodbye to me. Because I took the time to fucking talk to you.
Fair enough. All right, so let's see how we are doing. Welcome to you folks just tuning in right now. Welcome to Play It Painted Live. We are in quote-unquote overtime right now. But if you're hopping in, know what you're painting, what you should be painting. Our topic tonight was, are there too many games? And do we have enough time to play them?
And then
Or
kind of a
do we have enough
subtopic
money to
of,
afford them all?
yeah, and then the subtopic of what minis are there from Kickstarters that you wish you could have gotten?
Yeah, that's just a good question, flat out. I could probably think of a few more. Sadly, I will admit that there are a couple of Zombicide miniatures I wish I had.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore. I hate Zombicide. I'm terrified of zombies. So.
You hate Zombicide because you care about zombies?
I'm terrified of.
Oh, you're terrified. Okay, here you go. Full disclosure. Why not? If you're watching the show and you've made it this far, I'm just going to tell you. Okay, so when my brother and I, Heretic of You, when we were kids, Dawn of the Dead came out 1981, I believe. So this is how old I am. I was in first grade, 1981. And we have older brothers that you guys don't know about. So, my oldest brother is 10 years older than me. And at that time, they were really into that movie, Dawn of the Dead. So it was the summertime, and they made us watch that movie every single day. Every single day we watched the original Dawn of the Dead. The zombies in the shopping mall, that whole thing. And it just got imprinted on our minds. And for the next, I want to say 20, 25 years, whenever we got together, the very first thing we'd ask each other is, hey, did you have another zombie nightmare? Did you have another one? Did you have another one? And it's kind of a topic of fascination between my brothers and I. And because we're all sort of terrified by zombies, but at the same time sort of fascinated by them.
I am just terrified of them.
Do you?
I saw Night of the Living Dead when I was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I just can't do it. Yeah. And I think now with the kind of more evolved zombies, it might be an actual fear of, holy shit, I know there's like no chance this could happen, but in my scared Jill mind. There's the fear of,
What?
holy shit, this could actually happen.
Okay, so back to the embarrassing. The very first night, my wife spent the night at my house. We were dating. She discovered near my bed a sword. She's like, "You have a sword by your bed. What's that for?" And I said to her, "In case I wake up next to a zombie, I need to have a starting weapon."
That is valid.
And she thought it was weird at first. And sure, that was probably a big red flag for her not to get further involved with this guy. But we still talk about it. And sure enough, I still keep a sword nearby. Because you never know.
Just in case you wake up next to a zombie.
Yes.
You have to have your starting weapon. I totally understand and support your decision.
So, next question. What is more scary to you? Slow zombies or fast zombies? And for you guys watching, feel free to chime in on the comments. What's scarier for you? Slow zombies or fast zombies?
What kind of slow zombies are they?
We're gonna talk, your basic, I guess they're called kind of creepers that
Okay.
just sort of lurch forward, and they've got that moan coming out of their mouth, and they just slowly chew on things.
And fast, we're talking like the rabid jackasses from World War Z?
World War Z, or 28 Days Later, that same vein.
I would say fast.
Okay.
For multiple reasons. One of which being that in my head, I am convinced that that is the most likely type of zombie for us to actually have. Because in my brain, my mind seems to think that some sort of rabies type thing is going to happen, and then zombies.
Rabies happen, and then zombies.
Like, there's
Okay,
going
I
to
can
be some
get
sort of like mutated rabies that's going to lead to people being zombies.
Okay.
And it scares the absolute bejesus out
I'm
of
going
me.
to read the comments because I think people are chiming in. I do. I think
I
people.
hope so.
I'm going to disagree with you, though. For me, it's going to be slow zombies.
Why?
Slow zombies, fast zombies, I can deal with because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a fast zombie running up.
Fight or flight would kind of kick in with fast zombies
Yeah,
more so than with the
I
slow.
would be so amped at something running at me full speed that I feel like I would be better than the slow inevitability of a crowd of things just sort of, that part freaks me out. The inevitability of you are surrounded and it's real slow and you just watch it come in. That part freaks me out.
But with the slow, you can at least kind of get away.
Oh yeah, no, you can get away.
You can prolong your death.
Yeah, when I have my zombie dreams, I not only do I often just get away, a lot of times I realize that I have the power of flight, or I have, had a bazooka in my backpack that I forgot that I put there, that kind of stuff. But I don't know, it's just something about that. It's something about the slow zombies that just jacked me up a little bit. And then it's probably because, again, that's what I was raised on.
Mm-hmm.
You watched Night of the Living Dead when you were 5. My wife watched Jaws when she was 5, and also that same year, her aunt took her to Universal Studios, and she was on the little, the tram tour or whatever, and she happened to be sitting right at the spot where the mechanical Jaws jumps up at the bus. And, they still describe that scream today that this little girl had. And my wife is still, that's still one of her trauma points, is she is deathly afraid of sharks. So getting into the ocean, and sad that we live in California, but getting into the ocean is kind of a big deal for her. So, just interesting. We're talking phobias, I guess.
What is your view on spiders?
Oh, I love spiders.
Ew.
Yeah, my brother and I kept a pet tarantula. Well, actually, I had a pet tarantula when I was 5, because my dad in Kansas, my dad was a town doctor, and a guy got bit by a tarantula and decided to bring it into the clinic. So I kept it as a pet until my mom murdered it, and then admitted that to me many years later. No, I love spiders.
They're gross.
They're gross. Okay.
I used to be so arachnophobic that I would miss out on a large portion of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, 'cause of
and a large portion of the second Harry Potter movie.
Because of spiders.
Yeah.
I see.
To the point where, like, I saw Lord of the Rings and the third Lord of the Rings in theaters with Shelob, and ended up standing up in the theater when I was like 9 or something, walking out, throwing up in a garbage can, and coming back in.
Ooh. Well, I don't know. I have a little advantage here because if your name is Octave or Octavius, you kind of have to like spiders. You don't really get a choice there. You kind of have to like spiders. And I love spiders. I think spiders are fascinating. Similar reason I like octopi.
Octopods. I love it. I like octopus.
Yeah. I just think they're fascinating creatures. So, let's see. Any other comments? You guys don't have a zombie comment or anything?
You don't have some sort of comment about us being giant winkies?
Spiders. Let's see. Oh, okay, here we go.
Who's making fun of me?
Remember then, it doesn't matter if fast or slow zombies don't run out of breath and never need to sleep. But if you're 28 days later zombies, they do starve to death. So that's a thing. But 28 days later scared me for a little bit, but I don't know. It just didn't. The fast zombies don't scare me as much as the slow ones do. Which might be kind of weird to some of you folks watching. The slow ones.
I get it. Like, I get that you're more scared of the ramblers than the sprinters.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. For me, the fact that
there's probably some seated psychological reason why we're so afraid of zombies. It could represent something like conformity or something. I don't know.
Probably.
That's a topic for another show, I guess.
I guess.
I suppose we could talk about that at some point, but not interesting enough at the moment. Okay, so let's see. Any other phobias? So for you, it's zombies, spiders. For me, it's going to be zombies. Overwhelmingly zombies. And then thinking, what else might I be afraid of? I have to think about that. I don't know. You know what I would really be afraid of if I saw would be a hippo.
Really?
Yeah, if I saw a wild hippo, I would shit my pants for sure. Those things kill people. They don't eat them. They just murder them.
Yeah, they're jerks.
Yeah, because they're freaking gigantic and they don't take shit from anybody. And that's actually what pisses me off about, say, Jurassic Park, or specifically Jurassic Park 2, where the kids are in a tree or whatever, and they're like, oh, here's a Brachiosaurus or whatever. Oh, that's fine. It's a plant eater. And I'm like, what kind of stupid mentality is that? Has no one in this movie seen a fucking hippo? That's a vegetarian. And they're like, oh yeah, we get to play with the babies. Isn't that great? I'm like, dude, that's
No.
just bad. It's weird, but that's one of those movies that, like, if I'm going to show my kid that, I'm going to be heavily guiding him through that, as opposed to, a horror movie or even a movie with nudity where I'm like, it's cool.
Exactly.
That's
right?
natural. I'm okay with that. I might be backwards there too, because my parents are fairly they're fairly open about sexuality, and that they just never treated it like it was a big deal. So stuff like nudity or anything like that never really held any taboo or any power in our house. And I think that's why a lot of reasons why I don't have a problem with Shirtgate or anything like that. Have you been following Shirtgate?
No.
Okay. Any of you
I should be,
viewers?
but I'm not.
You shouldn't be. It's really, well, it's kind of sad. It's kind of pathetic, if anything. So I'll give you the lowdown on Shirtgate real quick. So recently, there's a science team. They had a project called Rosetta, and where they're basically landing a piece of apparatus on a comet. They landed on a comet, which is a crazy, crazy scientific feat, and one of those historic moments for all of mankind. And so the leader of this project is a guy named Matt Taylor, and he's kind of your rockabilly. He's a cool scientist. He he's got a lot of tattoos. You can tell he's maybe just a little bit slightly more alternative than the next guy. Okay, so when they're interviewing him about the success of the mission, because it was a successful mission, he comes out and he's wearing this shirt, and you can go ahead and Google Gamergate while we're talking here if you want. But he comes out and he's wearing this shirt that has images of, like, pinup style images of scantily clad women in suggestive poses, right? And of course, the modern day feminists made a big deal about that, like, oh, your shirt's degrading to women, yada yada yada. How dare you do that? I don't care if you landed on a freaking comment. You just, you're a disgusting human being. And he received so much ire and hate for this that he ended up, not only did it basically mar his gigantic scientific achievement, he had to come back out and apologize to the general public for wearing this shirt. And so there's this big controversy because, a lot of people, a significant amount of people look at that shirt and go, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that shirt. But there's a vocal percentage of people that, were deeply offended by it. So it was an interesting thing. My wife and I talked about it, and it was interesting because my wife, again, being a little bit more liberal with things like nudity and sexuality, was like, she pointed out that she bought me a shirt that has a pinup girl on it that's wearing nothing but a towel. And I'm like, yeah, and I have a science background as well, so I identify a lot with Dr. Taylor. Of course, I never landed shit on a comet, because that's freaking badass as far as I'm concerned. But I really do feel for the guy.
I think modern day feminists need to get their head out of their asses.
Yeah, it's a lot of picking on
I don't even want to call them feminists, because they're not. They're totally a topic for another time, because I will rage about this topic.
That's like a topic for like 3 or 4 shows that we can do, and then we'll get super hate mail. Be awesome.
I'm still looking forward to it.
I know, I kind of like that, the idea of that. But yeah, what you're saying is the exact same thing that my wife says. Is she's like, yeah, I used to really consider myself to be a feminist, and she's really big on gender equality and all of that. She's absolutely big on that, but she's seeing a lot of what's going on recently and going, this is just out of hand, and this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, if this is what it means to be a feminist, I don't want to be a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically how
yeah,
I
Shirtgate,
feel.
it hit home for me because I do identify with the guy, and I'm like, man, it's pretty interesting. There's a campaign for people to that want to, like, buy him this this, I guess, interstellar watch. So there's an Indiegogo campaign to, like, support the guy and say, hey, we're sorry, and they're gonna buy him this like $150,000 watch as an apology, which is kind of cool. So they're crowdfunding it.
I'm sorry that the women of our planet are such bitches. Here, have a pretty thing.
Here, have this $150,000 watch. Kind of awesome. All right, so I forgot to mention what I'm doing here. I am so I took a bit of sponge from the blister pack, and you just take a little sponge there and some tweezers, and I put that in some carmine red because I'm going to make those reddish style marble bases, and I'm basically just sponging on that red. You might say, hey, why didn't I do that before I attached the model? It just was easier this way for me. Not saying it's the right way to do it, this is just how I do it.
And I am working on chibi eyes.
Oh, nice. Are you comfortable doing chibi eyes? Do you have your own like method for that?
I do have my own method. I'm not totally comfortable doing them yet, though. But they have to be done in order for the models to be finished, so I do it. I usually paint the eye black first, and then I go through with a foundation white, like just the Vallejo foundation white.
Yep.
Because it's a bit heavily, or a little more heavily pigmented. And then I do that, and then I kind of carve out where I want the irises to be. And then I paint the irises, and then I paint the pupils, and then I do any little light squiggles.
Cool.
Reflections. Okay. Reflections is the correct word, not squiggles.
Reflections, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm just going over my process here. So the next thing I'm going to do with that red down is I'm now going to go with some purple and do the same thing, just not as much of the area. Rip off another little piece of foam here for me. And you just put the purple down as an accent color. You can do, it's actually better to do 3 color, but because I'm doing these pretty quick, I'm just going to do 2. I do 2 and then a vein of a 3rd color, and then that's good enough to get my look. So now I'm going to put just a few areas of purple down.
I've started painting with Elizabeth Beckley from Simon. Her and I have met and decided that we're friends because we're about the same age and in the industry and whatnot. Or at least I'm trying to get into the industry.
Okay.
And her and I spent last Saturday, we spent 5 hours just sitting and painting and just asking each other questions about how we paint and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's like the best way to learn painting, in my opinion. Sit with somebody, figure out what they're doing. It's not, and just understand that's what works for that person. And you can use, chances are you can use some of it, but you're probably going to have to modify it to fit your own.
Well, exactly.
Your own style. So it's all good. Okay.
Like, I think me and Canvas at some point are going to have a painting night.
That's a great dude to learn from as far as I'm concerned. Canvas is like one of my favorite painters. Kind of a bastard, but one of my favorite painters. Needs to do more videos.
He put out a video. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. I liked it. I commented on that video.
So did I.
Yeah. Canvas is one of the coolest painters. Tony the Painting Clinic, like probably my idol as far as painting, and also a local guy. So painting with him is worth it. He will host he'll host classes at one of the hobby stores, and I always pimp him, just because I'm like, man, if I don't profess to know a lot about painting, I just do it a lot. But if you want to talk to somebody that does know a lot about painting, that's your guy. Okay, so one last final little detail here. And I can't really do the rest of this process tonight, but I will explain it to you guys before we go here. So now I'm going to take some Iraqi sand. And I'm just going to paint in. I'm going to take a really fine brush. Not this crappy. This Reaper brush was a bust, by the way, folks. Not happy with it. it's very soon going to become a dry brush or a mixing brush for me.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I was disappointed. It's not. That is not a good. I just couldn't get the tip to remain sharp on it.
I am so excited to try the Winsor Newtons that Mark sent me.
It was nice that he sent those to you. They're nice. They're really nice brushes. So I'm gonna go with a Winsor Newton 0. I think this is a 0. And I'm just gonna paint in a few little veins.
Oh, my hands are getting shaky. I might not be able to finish the eyes tonight.
Yeah, that's why I'm moving a little bit faster because I'm about to call it here, but I want to show the rest of this process so that you guys can see how I do marble look. So the key with doing the veins is just make sure that they're not too thick. Doesn't really matter how they run or where they go. Just make sure they're not too thick. And you don't want to do too many. Like that's plenty right there. Do the same with Micon. Micon still needs work. I don't know, man.
He looks really good. At least on
Flesh.
cam he does.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, no, I can't do the eyes right now.
Yep.
Well,
Getting
because
late, huh?
well, it's late and I've been painting for 5 hours now. No, more than that. I've been painting since like 4.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I started doing it for money, so it's the only job that I have right now, so I'm focusing on it a lot.
Oh, you're doing, yeah. So you're doing commissions.
Yeah, I've started doing commissions, and I also have a surprise studio gig coming up that I can't really talk too much about.
All right. So there's that. Let's paint in the black around the rims. So at this point, what I do with the Mini is I will, once everything dries, I'm going to come and hit it with some dull coat. And then after the dull coat dries, then I come back with a gloss varnish. And that's what gets it this like shiny. I don't know if let me check the camera here. There you go. Yeah, that's what gets it the shiny look here on the bottom. So pretty cool. A comment here from David Fluff. Love the painting clinic. Use it to speed paint my 28mm World War II Soviets. Yeah, Tony's freaking awesome, man. Love Tony. One of my favorite painters, and he's actually pretty fun to game with because he's kind of ragey, and I find it entertaining. What's that?
Ragey gamers.
Some people are bad ragey, but Tony's kind of funny ragey. And I don't know, I just really appreciate that about that. And of course, you feel super bad about yourself being across from his miniatures, but you should be. You should be bad. You should feel a little bad about your miniatures when you put them next to that guy's stuff. All right, so another comment here on YouTube. Fast zombies present a much greater threat. Huh. I guess so, from a literal standpoint, but it's more, for me, it's more the psychological, again, the inevitability of something slowly creeping towards you.
But you can run away from something slowly creeping towards you.
Yeah, you can get away from it, but it's just, it's, I don't know, I can't explain it. I would rather run super fast and have my heart pounding and full of adrenaline than just sort of almost be comfortable, but not comfortable, because there's a zombie creeping around. But yeah, that's just me.
Oh no!
What happened?
Nothing.
Okay.
I dropped Kisa into old paint.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. I got to her in time. She's okay. She's okay.
All right.
I also got acrylic medium all over my hand.
Cool. Okay, so here's Jason, about done. Mycon. Mycon's fun in this game because pushes are a very normal thing in the game, and he's like a wrestler type, so he's really, really good at that. And throwing people into a spike pit and killing them instantly is pretty hilarious. Or feeding them to a lion. I just need to paint my lion.
If I can get the shake in my hand to level out, I might actually continue painting after this.
Wow. You are dedicated.
It's my only source of income right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it, so.
Alright, so as of right now, I am done. Well, not really. Not really. Ugh. Why
Well, he says.
Let me stop looking at the miniature because I keep seeing stuff I should be addressing. Let's do that. But yeah, man, as a miniature range, Arena Rex is freaking awesome. Putting the minis together sucks. Like, for example, Jason here. Let me make sure I'm on camera when I'm doing this kind of stuff. Always forget. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on camera. Let me move my con out of the way there. Okay, so it'll focus. All right, so for Jason here, the little ribbon that attaches to the tip of the spear is a separate piece. The handle of the dagger that's below the buckler is a separate piece. The buckler is a separate piece. So, yeah, needless to say, with some Arena Rex miniatures, they do have some really tiny fiddly bits to them that you have to be aware of. It's actually far worse on the 30 mil guys than the 40 mil guys. I mean, Mycon was literally just the body and the head. But he's Mycon. Alright, so, anyway, let's see. The Hobby Store here in Northern Virginia sponsors flea markets for the gamers to sell their unwanted armies and games for 100% store credit. Yeah, a lot of games shops here do that. They have, like, bazaar days where you can come in, sell your army, and get store credit. And that's a pretty cool way to cycle through your collection. I did that before with some old 40K stuff and was able to convert it over to a couple starter kits for Warmahordes, which was nice.
I wish that our store did something like that.
Yeah. And what's cool is, again, if you have all painted stuff, you generally can move it a little bit faster, if not for more money. So, cool. Yeah, so I'm just going to let these guys here. And I guess I'll snap a photo, even though the marble needs to be glossed. I'll snap a photo and show it later on. Actually, no, I think I probably won't shoot the photo tonight, guys. I'll do the I want to do the marble first and then take a picture of it for you guys. So, anyway, Jill, any comments or anything before we sign off here? It's almost midnight.
Everybody should go listen to my podcast, eatgirlweekly.com. It's fun.
Nice. Oh, crud, I missed a couple of messages here. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I got some messages from Sarah, which was interesting. When we were talking about the gamer saturation, she was like, "You're describing my life," which is interesting. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna take a little photo here for Instagram, but nothing for. I'll wait for the nicer photo to take that later. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this show. Thanks for watching, guys. As far as stuff upcoming on the channel, I still owe you part 5 of Relic Knights introduction, and I've got some battle reports in the works. But other than that, thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you. Oh wait, there's another comment that just came in. 3D printers and computer games are big nails in the coffin for miniature games. Good point. Okay. But yes, I don't know. That might be another topic. Maybe I can get Gabe Andaya to talk about that, because he does. He's got a 3D printer and does a lot of that work too. So anyway, I think we're gonna call it for tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for joining, Jill and Mark. Hopefully, Mark, you are sound asleep and feeling better. So that's gonna be it for this episode, and we will catch you on the next one.